Right, welcome to the Qualoupe class. This class we're going to look at consumables again, so I'm going to go into the Consumables Manager. If you remember, in the last class I showed you how to create a consumables record. To recap, a consumables record is a modified version of a material record. So hence, although I've gone into Consumables Manager, the consumable will be labelled with material name. It's just a way of creating specifically consumables, gives it a separate manager, but it is just a version of a material. That was covered in the previous class anyway. So if I load an existing record, and I shall load up buffer. Here's a buffer record that I created before, and if you remember, we associated methods to it, so these are methods that use up that consumable. So our units of measure is litres, so this method analysis uses 75 mils, this method dilution uses 100 mils. So next question is, how do we get some stock? As you can see, we've got a stock level of 0, and the answer is we have to create batches of this consumable. So if we go to consumable batches, at the moment it's blank because we don't have any. So if I go to the Tools menu, Favorites, Batch Manager, and open that in a new tab, hopefully that'll load fairly quickly. Oop, it's not being the speediest thing in the world at the moment. What we need to do is create a new batch and select the material that we want our batch to be for. So this is buffer. And I'm going to choose the specification as well, which is just default, and save my changes. Now, having saved my changes, this tab here appears because our material that we've chosen is a consumable. Therefore, the system knows that you want to add packages of consumables. So our material's a buffer, so this could be something that you're making up at the start of the day or the start of the week for use in the lab, or indeed it could be something that you buy in. So you might want to have one batch record for buffer, and as and when you make it, you add a package which says how much of this has been made or how much of this has been purchased. So if I add a new package, and I'm going to give it a package ID. So obviously if this was bought in, you would copy that from the batch number of your bought in buffer. But if we're making it, I'm just going to call it buffer pack 1. Now there's a couple of dates, in fact there's 3 dates here. The first date is the date it was first used. Well, we haven't even created the record yet, so we'll ignore that for now. Expiry date is when this particular package of buffer expires, so I'm going to give it a 7-day date, and I'll say let's have 150. And remember, in consumables I pointed out that our units of measure was litres, so if I click on units I'm restricted just to the matching group, which is volume, so I could have cubic meters or milliliters should I say, but I'm going to have litres. Continue. Save changes. So if I go back to packages, there's my package now. So if I go into consumables, and it still says 0, but I reload my record, buffer, confirm selection, it's now telling me I have 150 litres of stock. Excellent. Now I want to use up some of my stock, so I'm going to go to the batch manager again, and this time I'm going to create a new batch. Not necessarily going to select a material on it. This time, once I've saved it, I'm going to add some samples. So we'll have 3 samples. If I had a particular spec containing the methods that use up this consumable, this buffer, I would add that. But actually, seeing as I'm doing this on the fly, I'm not going to add a material, so I'll just go add, save changes. So here's our 3 samples, select all, and I'm going to add methods to them. Actually, I should go back to consumables and just refresh my memory. Okay, so the methods that use up buffer are analysis and dilution. So if I go into here, I will say, oh, there's analysis. Let's have analysis. Next. Finish. And I may as well add dilution as well. Oops, hang on. I better save that first. Cancel. Save. And then add methods. Dilution. Next. Finish. Save. So if I view my methods using this push button here. Okay, so all my samples have now got analysis and dilution on them. So I could say when I'm testing this sample, I'm going to be using the buffer because it's linked in consumables via this link here. The system knows if you use one of these methods, you're using this material. So if I go back into here, I can now add consumables to this sample. So if I click on Add Consumables, and I'll choose my method, so these are the methods that are using consumables. As it happens, they're the same one, so I'll say Analysis. Then I can choose which consumable, and there's only one consumable associated with the analysis method, but obviously your method can have multiple consumables associated with it, so buffer. Now the amount that analysis uses is automatically populated into here. So if I highlight my sample, or I could highlight multiple samples if I wanted to by holding down Control. This is my batch that I created earlier with 150 litres of stock. So I'm highlighting that, and it's telling me 225 mils are required for these 3 samples, 75 mils per sample. It's misbehaving itself a little bit. Now I'm going to do it one sample at a time, it seems. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this sample, highlight the batch, and then if I click on Add Consumable and look up the packages, it tells me I have one package, buffer package 1, select, continue. So now we've flagged that, so presumably I can do this one at a time. Continue, oh well, and one more. Continue. So we've now used up 225 mils of the buffer. So if I go back to my consumables record, and I'm going to have to reload it because the current view is held in memory. Oh, it hasn't done anything. Oh, that's interesting. Hang on a moment. Let's reload it. Oh, right, okay, it was just a slight delay. So it has calculated how much of this buffer has been used, and it's taken it off. So we had 150 litres and we've taken off 225 mils, so that's why it's come to that stock level. Okay, so that was a quick run through how you produce stock by creating a batch of your material. And I'll see if I can find the appropriate batch. Load records. Buffer. It's going to be that one, I think. Okay, so you create a batch of your consumable material. You add packages to it. Oh, it wasn't that one. It must have been one of the other ones, but never mind. And then that increases your stock, and then later on you use up. I've got to find my original batch again. You use up your batch anyway, your buffer in another batch. I'm not going to find that in a hurry, I'm afraid, but you click on Add Consumables anyway. You select the individual package you used. Your stock level goes down. Now, in the Consumables Manager, I should have shown you this before, if I click on Consumables Batches, it shows you the batch that we've created, 58, and if I view the packages, it shows me the available packages for that batch as well, so you can monitor it from this end as well. And if I click on usage, oh, it's not going to show me. Okay, so anyway, so you create a batch, it increases your stock, you use it up in a batch via the Add Consumables button, and that decreases your stock. So you get an accurate level of where your stock's got to. So if I go to batch 5.8, load records, see if I can find that one. Later on in your packages, oh, it's just not showing me the packages. That's mysterious. Oh, there it is. I'm just being impatient with it. It's just a screen load thing. If I go to edit package, later on you can go in there and you can see that it's put today's date and time in because I have started to use that package, so it's automatically populated that. And if at some point you've discovered that you can't use this anymore, it's all been used up, you can set an exhausted date. So the package will only be available to select as long as we haven't exceeded the expiry date and as long as exhausted hasn't been set, because obviously it might be spilled or it might be used up at a slightly higher rate than you anticipate or any other reason. So you can set a date for exhausted and that will basically close this package and this won't be able to be selected. But what that means is you've got a track of which particular package has been used in a particular round of sampling. Okay, so I think that concludes my quick demo of the functionality. If you want to ask any questions, I'll be available after I've finished recording this, and of course this class will be available for review on YouTube. Thanks very much.